Okay, here we are.
Yeah. Are we live?
Here we are back again. Stuart, here we are back again.
I know.
Can you believe it? Can you believe
Twice-
it? It's
twice
long
as
time. Too long. And thank you for everybody who took the time to pop in today, because that's we started feeling not guilty. Guilty is the wrong word. We weren't guilty, but we were feeling that we were losing touch. Maybe how's that? Losing
Yeah.
touch.
No, that's
Which
fair.
brings me
Oh, wait.
to a well. Go ahead.
Before you bring what you were going to bring, I just
I was
want to
going to
make
wax
sure.
eloquent. I was jumping in on a wax eloquent there.
I know. I'm sorry. The engines were firing up.
I was revved up. I was ready to go. We only have
Right.
3 hours for this podcast. We got to get a lot of cover here.
It's a red light, and you
Right.
got to stop at red lights.
Right.
I just want to make sure we're coming through okay. So I see we got some friends in. Annette's here, Carol's here, Danny's here, Ramona, SJ, Vera, and Zachary's in the house. So I just wanted to make sure we're coming through. And Annette said, yes, so that's good. And Zach's in the house too. And he shared a we'll talk about it, really cool, fascinating post on social media. But again, is a green light. You're on.
No, just the word on Zach though. Man, Zach makes me nervous. I get the red flag goes up when Zach is on, because if he's anything like my boy, when he's on, my first reaction is, "What do you want?" So Zach wants something, man. I don't know what it is, but be careful. He's got better things to do than listen to us. I'll tell you that.
He typed
Okay.
in LOL.
I had something to say and you screwed it up. See that? You see that? That's what happens to us old geezers. I had it, and I had it.
Yeah, article, 5
wait a
o'clock in
minute.
the morning. You were writing something at 5 o'clock in the morning. You were inspired.
All right, I'll start with this one. This morning, folks, I've been article. I write articles for Travel Research Online. We're going to talk about the new podcast later, but I was writing an article this morning. I couldn't sleep, and the old days, you try to go back to sleep. When you get my age, you just get up. You're up at 3, you get up at 3. You get tired at 6, you go back to bed. Well, I was writing, and I was taking an old article and putting more life into it, redoing it, editing. I guess it's called editing in the linguistic dictionary. I was editing an old article, and I think I was reminded when Stuart mentioned something a moment ago, it's called leverage. Okay, I took an old article and made it new again, rather than reinvent the wheel. I took some work I had done years ago, looked at it. It looked good. It sounded good. It needed a little bit of updating. So I took that article and gave it a new spin. Okay. And the message I want to leave with you folks today, as we can go on and whine and be negative, we could do all that stuff, but go back into your old work. I'll call it old work. I was going to say files, but your old work, and take a look at it with a new set of eyes. And I'm betting you that you have some very, very good sales and marketing and customer service materials that, with a little tweaking, a little adjustment, a little updating, you can save yourself hours. And not only that, what it does is you say to yourself, I hope you'll say to yourself, wow, this is good stuff. And it gives you the juice again. It puts the juice back in you. And then you say, okay, who can I send this to? And then you go into action. So rather than sit down and say, oh, I have to write an article. What am I going to write about? I got to write a proposal. What am I going to write about? Go back into your files. It's all done for you. It's called leverage. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it's editing older materials, and you'll find it'll be is juvenating a word, Stuart? Juvenating? You find yourself rejuvenated.
Well, to your point, how do you rejuvenate if you haven't juvenated first? So we're gonna go.
Well, you got to juvenate years ago. You juvenate, put in a file. Now you're rejuvenating, and you could hit the home run. And that's what I wanted to start out with, is that we don't want to get tired. We don't want to get lazy. We don't want to get bored. And this is a good way to get our mojo back. I never knew what mojo was, but it sounded like it fit right there.
Mojo is a good word. Mojo, somebody out there probably knows the connection to music. We hear Mojo at my mojo, right? You know, there's some good, there's something out there. But hey, listen,
Yeah.
everybody, welcome. And Mike just kicked off with a salient, if I may be so bold, a salient point. And I just want everybody to know that I wish we had a big announcement that we picked a date. But honestly, we continue to be in the wait and hold mode. If anyone has heard anything that perhaps maybe we haven't, and you want to let us know or make suggestions, remember the concept of a mastermind is that we are all in this together. So we're poised, we're ready to make decisions as soon as we receive word either from you guys and gals, from Palace, that we can plan ahead, you know, for a 2021 date. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And if you just joined us, I know a bunch of you just jumped in. Karen is drinking a root beer float. Cool. Vera said it's nice to be back together. Annette's here. Zach's in the house, and so many others. Make sure you type in and let us know you're here. Trinita's here. Hi, Trinita. Good afternoon. That we're doing this together, and Mike and I said that we got to jump back on the line here and stay connected, stay engaged, so we know what's going on in your worlds. And I know he just shared, he's got a bunch of things to share. I got something to share too that I hope will give some inspiration. If we don't go the hour, we don't go the hour, right, Mike? If we go 26 minutes, we go 26 minutes. Stephanie's in the house. Hi, Stephanie. So, you know, go ahead if you got thoughts or you want your microphone turned on. We'd love to hear your beautiful voice so you can share. I just kind of want to set that out. There's no new news regarding a rescheduled date. But 2021 is what obviously is our focus.
I just remembered, Stuart, what I wanted to share before.
Okay.
Before you better write down what you were going to say because you'll forget it.
I did. Go ahead.
Now say it first because I just forgot it again.
Did you really?
I did. This is scary.
Oh, this is problematic.
This is really scary. I'm
It's a
telling
good
you,
thing
folks,
you're not on stage.
don't get old out there, folks. Don't get old. Hey, but listen, you getting old is something you can't do anything about. Don't lose your sense of humor. That's what you don't want to lose, okay?
Right.
And that's what I'm afraid in this COVID-19. A lot of people, and now that the election's coming up, a lot of people are going to lose their sense of humor. A lot of people are going to get on edge here, and don't do that. You don't do that. I mean, we'll get through this. We'll get, you know, election, weather, Dow Jones. I don't care what it is. We'll get through this. Don't lose your sense of humor because people need you, and they need your sense of humor and your creativity. And you got to be, oh wow, it's good to have Stuart around. You want that. You want that. Every time I feel down, I call Stuart up because I realize how bad it could really get, and I always feel better after I talk to him.
Oh, wow. You're on a roll. Maybe it's a good thing you don't remember what you really wanted to say.
Yeah, you start talking because I have to figure this
Okay.
out because, oh, no, I have it. I have it, and it's worthwhile. Folks, I have, this is worthwhile. There's a message here. Please listen to this.
Okay.
I have a golf cart that I've used up here on the farm, and it was a new one. I shipped it up from Florida. It was an electric golf cart. It was in great pristine condition. And yesterday, true story, yesterday, for no reason at all, I can't understand it. It stopped. It just stopped. The batteries were charged. Everything was right. All of a sudden, this thing just, boom, it went dead. Okay. Well, here's the lesson. I went to high school with a friend of mine. I played ball with him in high school, who owns a golf cart company. Okay, golf cart company. And he would be, and I know him and he knows me, and you know, but I haven't talked to him in a long time. In a long time. And I will not call him. I won't call him. And the reason I won't call him, and you can rebut this if you want, but you might do it differently. But I won't call him because I'm calling him because I want something. Okay, I call him because I need him now. I didn't need him last week. I didn't call him. Last year, I didn't call him. Call your people. Call your database. Call your friends. Call your relatives. call them. Don't wait 5 years, because then you get to a point where you can't call them anymore. It's like too late almost mentally. I'd call him. He would help me. I know that, but I'm not going to because of the distance and because now I need him. So what I'm strongly recommending you do, and now's as good time as any, make contact with old clients, old prospects, old relatives, your brother, your sister, I don't care who you call, but update it, update your communication. So then when you do call down the road and you might have to ask for a favor or some information or some direction, it's a friendly call. It's not, oh, what do you want this time? You know what I'm saying, Stuart?
I I do, and actually, that's a good segue for what I wanted to talk about today. A story I want to share. Can I segue?
Yes, segue
Okay.
away, segue away.
Segue away. Stephanie says, totally agree. Karen, I see you posted a story. I'm going to come back to your story first after I tell my story before I forget to share my story. And it's a story. It is a great segue from what you're saying, Mike, which is to stay connected, even though your client may say, "Oh, we're not going to be traveling until," or "I don't need you right now." Um, Stay top of mind, even if you're just sending a quote. Hey, I saw this quote, thought of you. Hey, I know you love golf. I just saw Tiger do something. Just a reason to say you're thinking of them. And I'm convinced, by the way, and tell me if you are too, that when somebody pops into your mind at the strangest time, it's usually for a reason. I don't know, call it karma, call it the universe. But when somebody pops into my mind, I'm like, I got to shoot them a phone call or a text or something. Say, hey, man, I just thought of you. How are you? Is all well? And sometimes it doesn't have to be for business, friends, family and friends, to Mike's point. The reason why I'm saying it is because, and Karen's going to understand this all too well, is that I was asked for the first time in my whole career, and I'm building this up for a reason, to speak at the Virtuoso Travel Week conference. And now it's one of the biggest, one of the best in the industry. I'm grateful for all the gigs I get, as is Mike. And I knew that I had something to offer Virtuoso, but they didn't. They didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And I started communicating with them years ago, not selling myself, but just having conversations. And a few times. Remember, I always talk about that 15-minute meeting. I spoke to them there. This is going back over a year now. Hey, have you got 15 minutes? I'd love to hear your story. I showed interest in them. And then I sprinkled in a little about me, but I didn't make it about me, friends. I kept I don't want to say I was top of mind for them, because I'm sure they get calls from hundreds of speakers in and out of travel, because it's a sought after gig to get. And then I did stuff. I didn't just talk the talk. I walked the walk. I write articles for TRO like you do, Mike, motivationally speaking. Well, lo and behold, somebody at Virtuoso saw it. Next thing I know, they tell me that they shared it with the whole group. I'm like, wow, that's cool. It's a good thing. I put myself in opportunity's way by writing, by putting myself out there, by walking the walk. And then I invited one of their people, Helen, okay, who's in charge of I think education or something, to be on one of my programs right at the beginning of the pandemic. And it went 3 hours, and she came on and delivered some great points off the cuff, and it was great. So I did them a little favor, if you will, by giving them a voice. They did me a big favor by giving me their voice. And then I said, hey, you got your big event coming up in August. Now, this is going back at the beginning of the year, Mike. Okay, you got 15 minutes. Let's bounce around ideas. Whether you hire me or not, I'd love to know your concept, your theme, and I'll give you some ideas. Maybe it will help. I mean, that's what I specifically said, whether you hire me or not. So I sort of disarmed the call. my last concept here, friends, is that you got to give them or your client, you've got to give them a reason to want you. So if you call them, whether it's about a group or just about a world cruise, a river cruise, whatever it is, they need to have a reason to need you. I'll take it a step farther than want. You can't just say, pick me. I'm the best. I've been doing this 30 years. No, there's got to be a reason. Well, somebody back there, Retro, said, we got to have Cohen and not these other hundreds who applied, because we've seen what he can do. And you know, and it may take years, but I just wanted to impress it upon you because I love celebrating your victories, you, Mike, and everybody who's on, everybody in the mastermind group. So if you have a victory, share it. If you have a failure, share it too. We'll help walk you through it. We need the failures so that the victories shine up and stand tall. So any
Stuart,
comments on that? Then we're going to go to Karen. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, Stuart, I just want to piggyback on that. Something that was said by Dr. Rob Gilbert yesterday. He's a sports psychologist in Montclair State University. We were talking yesterday on the phone, and he said something to me that really rang true, that I think the people listening on the line today can make up their own 3 words. But I'm going to give you something to stimulate your thinking. And
Yep.
Stuart, I hope you write these words down because I'm really talking to you right now.
Okay.
He said, a motivational speaker has to do 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
A motivational speaker, I don't know if he said has to do them or has to accomplish 3 things.
Okay.
But he says, you have to get the audience to laugh, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get the audience to cry, number 2. And you have to get the audience to think. And I've never in my 40-year career approached a client and said, look, I can make your group laugh, I can make them cry, and I'm going to get them to think. And I believe those 3 points would hit home with a meeting planner. Mm-hmm. And in travel, what are the 3 things that people want? I can make clients what? A. I can make clients B, and I can make clients C. And that's what I do. Period. End of story. You can fill in advisor. You can call me an agent, an advisor, a man. You call me whatever you want to call me. But these are the 3 things I can do, and I do for you. And I think that's where it's a little thinking and a cup of coffee and maybe a gin and tonic. Is it, what are those 3 things that are going to get people's attention? I'm going to make you laugh, I'm going to make you cry, and I'm going to make you think. That makes for a good 50-minute keynote, Stuart.
Yep, it really does. And especially when our travel advisor can also say, as a matter of fact, or as an example, as a case in point, such and such just got back from, or I did their wedding group, or I did their whatever, their group. You give an example and say, if you want, go ahead and look at their pictures, or I'll give them a call. Back it up too, back it up. It's one thing to say you do it, what you achieve. It's another to say, in fact, just last month I spoke at this conference and they were laughing so hard we couldn't catch our breath. Something like that, and get them immersed in it too. I think that's great. Karen, oh, actually, Trinita said, and this is sad news, Trinita, I didn't even know this. I was hoping to speak at the Dream Vacations Cruise One conference, as was Mike. Our national conference at Dream Vacations Cruise One was supposed to be on Celebrity Apex in November this year, has officially been postponed till November 2021. And that's, I'm sure, the first time in the history of Dream Vacations Cruise One that's ever happened. Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry to hear that. Karen says, and Karen, thank you, because Karen, you dropped a note over at Virtuos. You said, hey, check this guy Cohen out. He's the real deal. And I thank you. So agents, advisors, are you dropping referrals like that for your clients? If your client is in the plumbing business, he's saying, oh, you got to use Bob over here. Bob's a great plumber. I mean, you can do the same thing. Do favors for people, and they'll do favors for you. Oh, you need an advisor? I got Celise right here. Karen says, what Virtuoso Week taught me last week is that we are, as agents, getting tons of emails from suppliers as to the huge efforts they are going through to make our clients' experience safe now. Our clients are not getting those same emails. That's what we need to communicate to our clients now. So there's an opportunity. There's a reason for making that contact.
Mhm.
Okay. And I also I see we have some wonderful names here participating, and I know we're very grateful you're here giving us time. Mike and I agreed that we should open up the Facebook group and these in between conversations, if you will, to those of you who had to bag out, who had to say, I can't go. I just can't do it, before August was postponed. Because right now it didn't happen. We haven't rescheduled yet. And we knew you were so disappointed that you had to say, I can't go those dates, or I'm not comfortable going. Like Betty in Hawaii, she was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it from Hawaii to Jamaica and back again. So we welcome you here. There's no obligations. There's nothing going on other than a conversation that we stay connected.
And hopefully something that's being said in the short time we're together helps you spark and gets that stimulation going again, and you know, gets the juices going again, because that's what it's all about. Is, you know, every day we keep moving forward.
Yep. I'm going to read something from Karen here, and then Zach, I appreciate you're here. And I don't know, did you in the Facebook group, did you read what Zach posted? He posted an infographic, and it was like above my pay grade. It was about understanding how to track and how to measure and how to find the audience who needs to hear your message. Zach, did I say that right? How to do a search on the various platforms to find out what they're talking about and how to get involved in their conversations. It's one thing that you run advertising, hey, pick me, pick me. It's another that you participate in their conversations. You insert yourself into their communities. There's already conversations going on. You don't have to start a new one. And that's
And
the
Stuart,
difference between. Good.
that supports the salesman's mantra, is that to enter the conversation that
Yep.
people are already having with themselves.
Yeah.
Don't try to shake them from A to B. Enter A, and then you can segue over to B in time. And that's what Zach's saying, is what are they talking about? Let's enter in that conversation, get known, and then we'll be heard.
Yep.
I like that. I haven't read that, Zach, but I will.
And that's the difference, friends. This is important. Look at me. Between push and pull marketing. Push marketing is when you advertise and you run radio commercials and newspaper ads and boost posts. That's called push marketing. You're pushing your message on the people. You're picking up the phone, you're calling, hi, I've got a great idea to do a group. That's called push marketing. Sending an email. Boy, let's get everybody together, but I could raise some great money for you. That's push marketing. Pull marketing is opposite. Pull marketing is when you have conversations, you join their conversation and you demonstrate, you walk the walk like we just talked about. This is almost as if it was scripted, Mike. This is, I'm going to cry here. This is such a beautiful little segment here. You walk the walk and people say, hey, this guy Marchev, he knows what he's talking about. I'm going to follow him. And especially now in our e-commerce market, our virtual marketplace, you got to get people interested in you to get on your list. Remember, get them on your list as a shopper, start the conversation so they become a prospect. And when they pay, they become a client. Let me read this from Karen.
Go ahead.
Another way is to keep your eyes open. Yesterday, I watched a segment on the Today Show. It was about the changes brides and grooms are going through, either having to postpone their wedding or cancel till next year. Mentioned that to several couples who had incurred huge fees for penalty fees. Neither the journalist or the excerpt from The Knot mentioned that couples should have bought event insurance. It made me realize here was a new article from my new honeymoon newsletter. And this is Karen talking. This is great, Karen. You're out there, you're reading other people's news and information saying, hey, wow, yes, I can reframe this for my business and really tap a nerve of some serious stuff that's going on out there. We have my niece, she's canceled her wedding 3 times already. And I like that. So she just says, keep your antenna up for news stories. So don't stay stuck in travel, right? Hear what's going on around the world that will have impact and implications.
And the key there is to actively, on purpose, be looking for those clues. Because if you're not looking for the clues and you're just reading for your own entertainment, the story's going to come and go. But if you're seeking, you'll spot it, and that'll create the juice. Yep.
That'll create the juice. Karen adds here, there are 5 Downton Abbey Facebook groups out there because Karen had built up, magnificently, splendidly built up to do a Downton Abbey group, a tour of of what was used as Downton Abbey in the movie and so forth.
Yeah.
And then of course it had to be postponed. She said there are 5 other Facebook groups out there. I just comment on them regularly. So when I suggest they come with us to London next year, it's okay. Right. And that's pull marketing because the comments, Karen, that you're making are part of the conversation. You're not selling anything other than your knowledge, your friendliness, your expertise. And as Mike said before, you're fun, you're interesting. And maybe you don't make them cry, but you make them laugh. Don't make them cry. Hey, listen, I'm going to do a shout out. Well, before you say that, friends, if you've got a comment, a question, an observation, now's the time. Type it in so we can share this with everybody here in our mastermind group. Mike?
Well, we're not, just so you know, that through Travel Research Online, they're starting a Trav Media section that has 6 at the moment, 6 podcasts. Okay. Now, Stuart has one, I have one, but it's going on Audible, it's going on Google, it's going on iHeart. These podcasts are going all over the world. So it puts a little pressure on us for the content. But here's what I want to share with you. Podcasts, if you haven't checked, you probably listen to your own podcast now, your favorites. But it's an easy audio media for you to get your voice, your thoughts, your opinion down on file. Mm-hmm. And here's what I wanted to share with you. Travel Research Online, we have podcasts, but they are going to have a section to teach you, like an instructional course on how you can have a podcast. Now, a podcast is different than a blog because a blog is the written word that's connected in a sense to your website. A podcast is something that they could go on their iPhone, search your name or your Italy or your destination or your niche. As Sam said earlier today, Stuart, her niche was Scotland and Ireland. She could have a podcast on Scotland and Ireland. People all over the world would listen to her 5-minute podcast or on different towns in Ireland or pubs or whatever, and it would position Sam as the go-to source. So I tell you that because as a fun project, you don't have to do it, but as a fun project, look for Travel Research Online, their podcast course, which is free. It's free to agents and advisors. That's coming, Richard said, within the next week, Stuart, or maybe 2 weeks, but be on the lookout. And if you want to see how it's done, you could tune into Stuart's and my podcast, and you'll see that it's just what we're doing now is we're talking. We're just talking and sharing our information with people. And in your case, it would be sharing it on honeymoon insurance, Karen. I mean, you'd have a little podcast on the importance of event cancellation insurance.
Yep.
And you could do it once. You could do it once a week. You could do it once every 2 weeks. You could do it once a month. And then you reference people. Say, go to iTunes, pick up your phone, click my name, and there's a podcast on sailing to Alaska you might want to hear.
Yep. I love it. It's all good stuff. It's fun to see, especially Richard, who's our friend, and other businesses do the pivot and create something they might not have otherwise created. Richard may never have gotten to the podcast business. Stephanie, you ask, are the other group admins travel agents? Stephanie, I'm not sure I understand the nature of the question. Are the other group admins travel agents. If you don't mind, what's the
Probably
word?
everybody on the call. It's everybody a travel advisor in the group here.
Oh, if that's your question, Stephanie, the answer is absolutely positively yes. Oh, wait. Oh, nope. Stephanie said the Downton Abbey group. So
Oh,
the
sorry.
other Facebook group. So this is a question for Karen, which is those 5 other Downton Abbey groups, are they by travel professionals also, or are they just more community groups because people share that passion for talking about Downton Abbey? I'm just curious, and we'll see when Karen posts the response. I will read that as well. I'm sure Karen is typing away. Casey said podcast training would be great. So Mike, I didn't even know that. So I thank you for sharing that, because this is new for us too, because there are certain, in addition to recording high quality messages, there are some technical requirements, and we're learning, because you and I are launching a new podcast soon called Solopreneur Network.
Right.
So the more we learn, the better we're going to be.
Yep.
Zachary says, in addition to podcasts, now this is interesting, at least I think so, Instagram TV provides a good way to get video podcast content as well. So I'm going to say that again, Instagram TV. Now, Zach, is Instagram TV, no, that's not, like I saw Amos Lee, one of our favorite artists, he does Instagram Live. My guess is that's not Instagram TV. So you're saying Instagram TV, Zach, is another channel. So not podcast, Instagram. And friends, as Zach types in his response, remember, I want you to use the platform that you're comfortable with. But also, there's a but. I don't like saying but the but is that where your audience hangs out?
Yeah.
If your best prospect don't use Instagram, don't waste your time with Instagram TV. You'll be talking to nobody. But
Right.
if your best prospects, and Danny, I know you're on, it just came to mind because you're into the photography groups. Instagram is magical for pictures. It's wonderful for picture sharing, right? So, you got to go where they hang out. And friends, if you're not comfortable in that platform, you got to learn how to get comfortable there, or else find yourself a niche and a new target market, and make sure they hang out where you hang out. So that's Instagram TV. Zach, thanks for sharing. And Zach adds on to that. The only difference is that IGTV, Instagram TV, IGTV, I've heard of that, is and can be pre-recorded. Okay, so Instagram Live is just live. So when you see somebody like do a Facebook Live, it's just live and can't be, well, an Instagram can't be, but if it's IGTV, then it can be pre-recorded. You can actually upload it to make sure you're happy with your finished product. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. Thank you, Zach, for sharing that. Stephanie says, thanks. Let's see. Karen said, to answer Stephanie's question, those other Facebook groups were not travel professionals. They were fans. So those are fan groups. That's the word I was looking for before. They were fans. So, and I know what you're suggesting, Stephanie. It was a fair question. Is it, are you in another travel advisors group? The answer is no. That said, I want to say something to you, friends, that, well, if you get permission to be a part of one of your colleagues' groups, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a Facebook group or some kind of community, if you're friends, if you're colleagues and you get permission, why not go in there too and lend your expertise and credibility, because you trust each other. You're not going to steal each other's business, but they end up helping elevate you. For instance, Mike, you popped into the Group Sales Power Hour podcast that I did a couple hours ago. You popped in and you dropped a great tip. We had a brief conversation and you got out. But it was very engaging. The listener, right, Karen, you were there, was very intrigued and interested. So, friends, have you ever considered inviting one of your friends or colleagues, who you trust each other? Hey, would you pop in on my thing? Would you would you write a little thing for my blog, my newsletter? Because I don't have your expertise, but what you will say will elevate. And it's that math equation, 1 + 1 = 3, Mike.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And
Danny
the
said,
when
go ahead.
go ahead, Danny.
Oh, Danny said, great idea on Instagram for photography groups. Thanks for sharing. You bet. Stephanie said, not suggesting, just wondering. I get it. I get it. It was a fair question, Stephanie. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And one more from Karen, and then Mike, you're on. Karen Heeg mentioned yesterday that there was a way to make our basic iPhone photographs look more professional with programs like Snap Speed, Color Splash Effect. Can't wait to try it. Oh yeah, there's some crazy effects you can do. Trinita said, a great idea to invite other colleagues to assist. It's the power in numbers. And you look good because, wow, Trinita's got some powerful friends, expert friends. You know, she's worth her salt. I mean, it's all good. Consider doing it.
You know, I always use the analogy, Stuart, of Larry King. You know, who is Larry King? What's his contribution to mankind? And his contribution was, as the talk show hosts at night, they sit behind a desk and they talk to people who of interest. And you, the travel professional, you're the Larry King of travel. You don't have to wax eloquent. Just invite people in. You know, how many people watching us have invited the president of Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines to their show? And I'll answer that. Nobody. And I'm saying, why not? He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. You're his distributor. He might say yes. And now he's the president of Royal Caribbean and you're interviewing him, and it puts you in the position of being a big shot or somebody in the know. Not a big shot. You don't want to be a big shot, but you're wired. And the worst case is he says no, but at the next cocktail party, you can say, what's his name? Stuart Fine, or what's his name?
No, she.
What's her name?
Oh, what's her name? I used to work with her. She's an awesome lady, and if her name is, somebody out there is going to know it before me. I worked with her. She worked her way up to become president. Dondra is the senior VP of sales, right?
A celebrity.
And what's her name? No, Vicky Fried is a senior VP of
travel relations
of Royal Caribbean. Is Michael Bailey the president of Celebrity, or who? What's her name?
Well, let's pretend it was Michael Bailey. Sorry, Mike, if you're out there listening to this show, I'm sorry, man. We should know who you are, but you know, anyway, you just say, and if he says no, you say, yeah, I just invited Mike Bailey for my show the other day, couldn't make it. It still positions you as the person in the know, right? You're almost glad he didn't come, but you can still say, yeah, I was inviting all the big shots. So as long as you're having fun doing this, you're qualified to do it. And there's no downside if it doesn't work. But what I caution you in this Instagram and Facebook and tweets and all this stuff, it can take a lot of time. And when push comes to shove, it's belly to belly, eye to eye, speaking English. It's not technology. It's not all of this razzle dazzle. It's gone full circle. Let's just talk to me. What can you do for me? Can you help my family get to Chicago? That's all I want to know. I don't care if you have a Twitter account, or I don't care about that stuff. Can you get me to Chicago? And so don't paralyze yourself thinking you have to go into all of the new gizmos. You need the big microphone on your desk. You don't. Now it's okay. It's fun. It's communication, but don't bog yourself down to the point where you don't have time to answer the email. Okay. And the other little point that crept into my head, Stuart, on the last conversation we had was about keeping up to date in your communications. Why I didn't call the golf cart guy. I've heard many, many times from clients talking about you, the travel advisor, when they would say, oh yeah, I heard from them when a deposit was required, and the next time I heard from them was when final was required. And the gap in between, that spelled the relationship gap. The deposit to the final, that's dangerous. So, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here because you folks know that, but you still may fall victim of that silence. And your reason is, oh, I don't want to bother them.
Hmm.
I don't want to bother them. If you're bothering me, I'll tell you you're bothering me. And if you
Mhm.
stay on the phone for an hour, you're bothering me.
Hmm.
Just get on, get off, give me the information. I love you. Anyway,
Hmm.
that's what I wanted to just top that
Yeah.
one off.
No, I appreciate it, and I've done countless seminars and speeches on follow-up. All too often, we put all of our follow-up strategy while they're prospects to get them to buy. And then we get the cash, we make the booking, they become a client, and we move on. Maybe we shoot them a thank you card or a thank you email or a thank you voicemail, but the next time they hear from us is right before they go. And in my teaching, there are so many stages to follow up. Of course, there's follow up before the sale, there's follow up after the sale, there's follow up before departure, there's follow up while they're away. I mean, these days, how many people really go completely offline when they're on vacation? Some people do, most don't. How cool would it be? They're out on a cruise, they're at the resort, send them an email. Hey, thinking of you. Did you have that pina colada on the beach watching the moon rise like you were dreaming? They don't have to respond. There's follow up when they return. And then there's forever follow up. The forever
Yeah.
follow up is, and that's what I call loyalty, great service. When you you stay connected, you communicate, and here we go full circle again about keeping the conversation going, because the more time that passes, the more they're going to be exposed to other opportunities for travel, other travel advisors saying, "Hey, look at me, pick me, pick me." So you got to stay top of mind. Well, we're just bringing it home today. I'm telling you.
Years ago, Stuart, I had a nice assignment down in the state of New Mexico. And it was for, the group was called Quality New Mexico. Honeywell, all the big companies were there. But one of the groups there was a automobile distributor, a Ford automobile distributor in Albuquerque. And he invited me over to speak to his sales force at the automobile dealership, which I was happy to do. And get a load of this. Their monthly goal in this dealership was 300 cars a month. Now, to me, that's a lot of cars to sell every month, 300 cars. And every one of their salespeople had a little coin in their pocket that the owner made that said loyalty, okay? And he made all his salespeople carry that coin. And if you went up to somebody and said, "Can I see your coin?" and they did not show it to you out of their pocket, then you had to buy coffee for the whole organization that day. Okay, in other words, carry the coin. On the coin, it said loyalty. And do you know, Stuart, how you sell 300 cars a month, month in and month out?
How?
You take care of the people who already have bought a car from you.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of your customers. We will not lose a customer. We will do anything we have to do so this guy or this woman doesn't go anywhere else to buy a car, and they then will send that information out to their relatives and say, "You got to buy a car from this outfit."
Mm-hmm.
And it was focusing on who you already have in your pocket, folks. So here's the challenge. Do not lose another client that you want to hold on to. You can dump a few if you want, but
Mm-hmm.
if they're meaningful to you, you hold on to them. So now you say, how? Hey, there's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I would say first time call them and say, "Hey, nice hairdo. Nice shoes, nice whatever it is." Get into the act so they will say, "This is a nice guy, not just a nice salesman. This is a courteous, squared away, fun person to be around." And then and then focus on every single day. What can we do to keep our customers? Keep our customers. And then you're going to go find some new ones. You do an Instagram TV show, get another customer. I don't care. but take care of your customers that you already have.
Mhm.
Very, very key, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more.
And that'll keep you
100,000.
busy. You don't have time to get bored or scared. That'll keep you busy the rest of your life right there.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, a name just popped into my head. So somebody out there, look it up. Lisa Lutoff Perlow. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's the current president of Celebrity. I could be wrong. I used
Well,
to
I
work
said
with
Royal
Lisa
Caribbean,
back
but
in
I
the
don't know
day.
who Celebrity is, but Royal Caribbean was the question.
Yeah. No, I know.
That's
But
Fain, right? Isn't Fain? I thought it was Fain.
well, he's the chairman. He's the chairman.
All right, well, that's the topic. Invite the chairman to dinner then. Invite Fain to
Oh,
dinner. Yeah.
right. Well, but it's true. I mean, I sometimes they say no, sometimes they say yes. When I ask people to be in my one of my program,
They're
thank you,
people. They're
Stephanie. Thank you,
people.
Karen, for confirming. They're people, and they could say yes, they could say no, and that's it. And Karen asked, is it about asking great questions of these leaders? And of course it is. It's thoughtful questions,
Right.
and I would suggest, because Mike and I we do these all the time. Number one, try to make it more conversational, because sometimes if you ask a question, they go on for 15 minutes and it gets a little boring, and they could be the most successful president in the world of one of these cruise lines, but they talk too much because you gave them a platform. So ask short, specific questions, not big, and so it becomes a back and forth. And tell them that, let's make this a conversation. Here are the questions that I might be asking. How do these look? If you want to sort of set them up so that they're prepared. And you know what a great question, Karen, and everybody to ask is, hey, Michael or Lisa, whoever you're talking to, are there any questions or any areas that you want to make sure you share that nobody ever asks you? Tell me now, because I'll make sure we cover something that you're just begging to tell everybody that nobody knows about. And sometimes they'll come back with a great line for you, a great
When I
question,
used
a
to
great
ride,
conversation.
at cabs in Las Vegas from the airport over to the hotel, you'd get these older cab drivers, and I'd find out what they did before they were cab drivers in Vegas. And then I'd ask them, what was the biggest mistake you made in your life?
Hmm.
Now, and I would ask fans, what's the biggest mistake you made in your
Hmm.
career? And then what's the best decision you made in your career? And if you were a travel agent, what would you do today? What would you be doing today if you were a travel agent? I think you'd get some good, most of them, they might go into the death pause. I don't know. They never thought about it. But I think those are good questions that
Yeah.
you could learn from.
Yeah.
But anybody who's over the age of 60, 50, or 40, they
Hmm.
have experience that can help you. And
Yeah.
tell them, what's the biggest, what if you had it all over again, what would you do differently?
Uh-huh.
That's a good one.
Get real
That's a good
personal.
one.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Karen says, I think the real problem, Stuart, is that many agents don't know what or how to communicate with a client when there is 6 months in between deposit and final payment. You have this really big gap. She goes on to say, TRO has great articles. Agents can send about the destination your client is going to, or one of the beaches that might be on the top 10 list, or an article about the new ship they'll be sailing. It can be a challenge, though. Maybe that will be a good exercise for this is Karen's intern to peruse those articles in TRO about destinations she knows that we've sold. So Karen, you bring up a great point. So if you take a deeper dive into this opportunity, let's say there's a huge gap before they have to make final. So of course you want to follow up immediately after they pay at least a deposit, because you want to make sure there's no buyer's remorse. You want to say you made a
Bingo.
great choice. Any questions? Oh, by the way, were there any friends or family you think would be fun to travel with? Right? Turn it into a mini group maybe. But make sure there's no buyer's remorse, because when somebody pays a lot of money for something and they're nervous, everybody gets nervous. And then put yourself in their shoes. What do you think they're thinking about in that 6-month gap? Well, they're reading other articles. They're reading possible news events that has them scratching their head. So if you see something newsworthy that they might be reading, because it's your job to stay on top of everything that's going on with that ship, that cruise line, that destination, I guarantee you they're seeing it too. You jump on the horn, you proact. You say, hey, I read the same article you may have just read about Grand Cayman where you're going, and yeah, the swimming with the stingray thing is blah, 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 blah. Or you send them a quick note, say, hey, by the way, when I was in Jamaica last time, I made sure I had some genuine jerk. Do you like jerk chicken? Do you like goat? Do you like oxtail? It just popped into my head. You popped into my head. You can sort of make it that short and sweet. It doesn't have to be these fancy articles, Karen. It could be little things you want to pepper them with that you would be excited about too.
Stuart, how about this one? How about reading that article that maybe raised an issue, and then tell your client, you may have seen this article or not, but when I read this article, I immediately made a phone call to the property and found out, and then you hit the real truth. Now that shows you do your homework, and it shows that you're not being spoon-fed by the media.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so important. So I think, I hate to use the cliche out of the box, but I also think sometimes we overthink things. And I don't think this has to be too complicated. No. And Karen went on to say, I admit I'm guilty of allowing too much time to pass by in between those dates, especially when we were real busy last spring. It's hard. How many of you right now, our masterminders, have this same issue? Wow, I never realized. 30 days went by. Forget 6 months, friends. 30 days went by, and you didn't go tap them on the shoulder and said, hey, thinking of you. Are you dropping them a postcard? Just says, thinking of you. Have you packed your bags yet? I'm so excited for you to go on that white sandy beach of Hawaii because there's nothing like it in the world. Just a little pepper. That's it. Yep. Renita says, for my groups, I follow up with newsletters with trivia, facts, and a contest. Probably can do that with my FIT customers too. Absolutely. All you're doing is a quick knock on the door saying, hello, thinking of you. And by the way, here's a little nugget of something you might find interesting.
Yep. Stuart, does anyone else have, I don't want to jump at anybody's parade here. Does anybody have anything there?
Nope, we've caught up. Everybody's confirming that Richard Fain's chairman of the board, stuff like that. But otherwise, go ahead.
I was reviewing a couple articles here in a book that I wrote once, and this article here, this might give you some food for thought. It's called Stuff Happens, and I use the hurricane down in coming into Texas tonight or tomorrow, and right now everything is okay. Okay, the hurricane's coming, high winds are coming, everything's okay, but in about 2 days there's going to be people down there without electricity. Okay, it's going to go dark down there. And if anyone knows about hurricanes, the wind is one thing, but the next 3 weeks without power, that's the killer. Okay, and they're going to lose power down there. Okay, and the article referenced a hurricane, and it's Stuff Happens. And what I was suggesting is, travel professionals, that stuff is going to happen to you, and it's going to happen to the destination, and it's going to happen to your clients. So now you know it. Today is, what day is today? Tuesday. You know it. So here's a couple examples, Stuart. Worst thing that can happen. What's the worst thing that can happen to you? Okay, here's an example. You pull a back muscle, Stuart. Okay, that's the worst thing that can happen if you hurt your back. So what can you do today to help ensure that that won't happen? Stretch, exercise. Well, the word is stretch. Okay, stretch today, and chances are your back's not going to be pulled out. All right, worst thing that can happen, you lose an account. That's the worst thing that can happen. Or lose the ABC account. It's the worst thing that can happen to my business. So what are you going to do about it today? You're going to get on a phone and solidify your relationship so that doesn't happen. Worst thing that can happen, your spouse leaves you. What are you going to do today? As a gentleman, you might want to think about going out and buy a few roses, maybe an invitation to dinner or a romantic evening. But I mean, you do what you can today to make sure the worst thing doesn't happen. The worst thing can happen, your house burns down, Stuart. I know that's a little close to home for you. But what do? You get an electrician in, and to look at your wiring today before it burns down. So the question is, what's the worst thing that can happen to your business, to your health, to your clients? And it hasn't happened. Make sure that it doesn't happen and do what you have to do today. The hurricane people in Texas, it may be too late, but they should have gone out and bought a generator yesterday. Because if they bought a generator yesterday and the power goes out, they're still eating ice cream on Saturday night. Okay, so that the article was, think about what's the worst thing that can happen. And to me, my house burns down. So, Mike, today, make sure your wiring's good. Make sure the electricity is up to speed. Make sure there's no faulty connections. Chances are you're going to have a house tomorrow. But that's I think a good exercise for people, Stuart.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that can happen? And then what can we do to prevent that from happening?
Yep. Anticipation. And
Yep.
to bring it even closer to home, to the dialogue we just had, what do you communicate in between deposits? What do you communicate if they've made final payment, they're not traveling for another few months? It's about anticipation. What do you think is going through their mind? What do you think they're concerned about? Think about a waiter or waitress in a restaurant. The great ones are filling your water glass and you don't even know it.
Right.
When you're on the cruise
Good
ship
example.
at a cocktail party, the bottomless wine glass, every time you look, there's always wine in it. It's anticipation. The best salespeople in the world are great anticipators. They know what's going through your mind. They know what you're thinking about, what you need when you need it.
Do you know that's the Ritz-Carlton's mantra? They have a 3-step customer service mantra. Number one, simple stuff. Number one, say hello with sincerity. Okay. Number 3 is say goodbye with sincerity. And number 2 is anticipate what's going to happen and then get out in front of it before it happens. So it's say hello, anticipate, and say goodbye. And there's the Ritz-Carlton, who is one of the best in the business right there.
Yeah, and he got it all from me.
And they got it all from Stuart's book on anticipation. There's a song also about anticipation that you wrote.
Hey, listen, we've got 4.5 minutes left. We don't want to keep you here any longer than you need to. We will end at the top of the hour. However, now's the time. You have a comment, you have a question, you have a story, an anecdote, which is one of those words I can never spell right. Anecdote, tricky word.
2 Ks.
A success, a challenge. Now's the time to type it in, and then we'll dismiss class. Karen said, "I'm ready for Jamaica Beach." We all are. In fact,
So are we.
Yeah, I was just with family over the weekend in New York, helping my mom pack up, and I went through old pictures, hundreds of old pictures, and I saw we did a family reunion, a group trip to Sunset Beach, Jamaica Grand. Do you know what Sunset Beach, Jamaica Grand is today?
The Moon Palace?
The Moon Palace.
There you
So
go.
we were there. Zach was there when he was like, about knee high to a grasshopper. Well, not really. He was taller, but we've been going there for years. And Annette said, great thought provoker. Thank you, Annette. You're very, very welcome. Seriously happy that you all gave us this time. If you're watching the replay, I hope you're glad you did. We're going to do this again. And if there's any topics you want us to cover, make sure you let us know in advance.
A special shout out to Annette. Annette, hugs to both you and Nancy. I understand that Nancy may be coming your way. Or no, you're going Nancy's way? No, Nancy may be coming your way. So make sure that you give a big hug to Nancy for me, a big social distancing hug, which is 2 elbows, right?
There you go. There you go. SJ says, good seeing you guys again. Thank you, SJ. Good seeing you. Glad you're here. And we're gonna start giving the 60-second countdown. So class is not dismissed yet because there could be one final nugget. You never know. It's like you wait at the buffet table just in case something else comes out. I used to love those little baby lamb chops, but once they bring out the tray, they're gone. So hang on. I can't eat them these days, but I don't know why I thought of that. I guess I'm hungry. All right, 30-second countdown. Vera said, good to see you guys. Always leave with a long list long to-do list. That's good, Vera. Very happy to hear that. Anybody else?
Vera, just pick
Go ahead.
one, Vera. No long list. Pick one and then go to number 2 tomorrow.
There you go. Janita says, thanks. You're very welcome, Janita. Vera said, right on, Mike. All right, 10-second countdown, and then we'll officially dismiss you. Really glad for you giving us this time. Mike, I enjoyed this. This was really.
Me too. It was a lot of fun. We got to do this sooner rather than later for sure.
Yep, and we will. All right, we're going to call it. We're done.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye, Stuart.
Bye, Mike. Hey, everybody.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Be well.
Yeah, stay well. Be well and stay well.